What a game for Bucky the Buck. Yes, Bucky Irving is going to be back. We were talking about the Tampa Bay Bucks. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight with your host, Rizwan, on the airwaves of Radio Azad. I've got Shep with me. And yeah, did you know Bucky Irving was come back for these Bucks?
Yeah, I did.
As is, I think Mike Evans is just around the corner. He's about a week or two away. So yeah, I think
that'll help them a lot. Okay, look, they're already scoring points, but that's going to help them.
Anytime Ibuka can slide down to the wide receiver 2, because you've got Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay wide receiver 1 for the last 12 years now, coming forever. Back. Yeah, I mean it does. And all he does is, I mean, obviously this season is going to be an exception, but all he does is have 1,000-yard receiving, right? I mean, that's he's Mr. Automatic, so consistent, so good, especially around the end zone with those jump balls, high point throws. But yeah, I think he's definitely going to help. And yes, I would be shocked if Carolina wins this, and I know it ain't going to be the Saints or the Atlanta Falcons. So let's talk about a few things. You know, one thing that's really difficult around Thanksgiving time when it comes to football is, especially for a Sunday show, right? Because we discuss what transpired last Sunday, and now that last Sunday feels like ages ago. But I do want to focus on, and believe me, this is not to needle you, but because this is important. The Vikings and the Packers, and that destruction by the Packers.
It may have ended the Vikings' current organizational setup.
Yeah. I mean, they just completely whiffed on this whole Darnold versus McCarthy decision. And really, it's not the decision, right? There wasn't much of a decision to be made when you've made that investment in a young quarterback who gets hurt. You don't really get to see what he has. So really, where they messed up was on the drafting at this point. Are we at that point, or is this salvageable with McCarthy?
I actually thought McCarthy was going to pan out. Okay, I was like, all right, you get rid of Darnold, you use some of that money for the first contract quarterback to go fix your offensive line, maybe get a pass rusher, which they did. But here's what happened. McCarthy's been hurt. He's hurt again. Okay, and if you can't stay healthy, staying healthy is a talent or a natural ability. It doesn't mean that it's a skill per se, that there is part of that. But if you can't stay healthy in the NFL, you can't play. And if you can't play, you can't help your team. And if you can't play as a young quarterback, you can't develop.
Yep.
And I think that if he can't prove that he can stay healthy, he's done. He's not going to develop the way he needs to. He's still 21 years old, so he's still young for a second-year quarterback. But
and in fairness, the other name we mentioned, Sam Darnold, don't forget, he was not this all-pro quarterback throwing the ball all over the field early in his career with the Jets. Whether that was the organization or not, it is becoming more and more of an argument, right? That Sam Darnold was not the problem; it was the Jets. So, yes, you're absolutely right. He's 21. He, maybe he can be fixed.
Well, I think there's arrogance is the word, or hubris. I think that Kevin O'Connell really thought he could fix any quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think or develop any quarterback. And he may be finding out the hard way that he screwed up on the McCarthy draft. Because remember, he was the 5th quarterback taken.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So the reason I was kind of focused on that, I am at the point. So in this one, McCarthy threw for 87 yards. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches. I think he had 10 or 11 targets, but 4 catches, 48 yards, which has led me to this point, at this point in our league, in fantasy football. I'm sitting here during the break. I was sitting here looking at it. I've got 2 of my wide receivers have already played. wide receiver slash tight end. So I had Kelsey, who had a big day.
He
CeeDee
did.
Lamb, who is CeeDee Lamb. So that third
He's a
spot,
great fantasy wide receiver.
he is.
I'm not sure how great he is in the NFL, but he's a great fantasy wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, just his floor is so high, right? I mean, it's just especially in a PPR league, he's gonna get you double digits. On a bad day, he's gonna get you double digit points. But yeah, so here I am. I think a couple of years ago you would have said the same thing about Justin Jefferson, but here I am staring at my lineup for that third wide receiver spot and trying to decide if it's Jefferson or Pittman or Wilson or Shakir.
Which is insane.
And it's a legitimate question.
Well, because Jefferson's going to have Ross Meyer thrown to him today. And I think he may be a volume receiver pick today. I don't know how down the field he's going to get, but they're probably going to hit him with some screens. He's going to get some points that way. He can make some yardage after the catch. I think he's going to score at least 10 points for you.
Okay, well,
15.
During this break, about 12 minutes ago, I took out Pittman. So I know it's not going to be Wilson because Harrison's back for the Cardinals. And I don't want Shakir to be a homer pick. The way I deal with my fandom and fantasy football is I would much rather leave Shakir on the bench because if he does well, I'm going to be happy anyway. But if he doesn't do well, now I'm going to be unhappy because the team didn't do well, and I'm going to be unhappy because it negatively impacted fantasy. So I'd rather leave him on the bench. Wilson because Harrison's back. And Pittman has been up and down, and Pierce is starting to come up as the go-to guy for Danny Dimes in Indianapolis. So, yeah, I'm going with Jefferson, but I can't believe I'm sitting here looking at Jefferson and saying, well, I'm only starting him because I've ruled out the other three for one reason or another. But that's where we are. That's where we are as fantasy football. I mean, you remember when I drafted?
Actually had a bad year for him. He's had some bad drops.
Yeah, he has. So both he and CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb has 5 drops in those two games against Philadelphia. But let's talk about, since we're on CeeDee Lamb, let's talk about that big win against the Kansas City Chiefs by the Dallas Cowboys. Did you see that coming? I mean, we knew that the offense was going to be there.
Kind of. So here's the thing. Kansas City is on the end of their talent cycle.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're in on the run completely because they've got Mahomes, but they're going to have to retool in the offensive line and get some more defensive talent. They finally got wide receivers. By the way, my opponent has Ray Rice on the bench this week. Ray Rice scored 28 points. Or not Ray Rice, Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
But I think Dallas is a great offense. The thing is they've got to score 30 points a game to guarantee they're going to win, even with the Quinnen Williams addition.
Yeah, well, so the defense is starting to round into shape, though.
They're playing better. They're no longer historically bad.
Yeah. They could only get better from where they were, right? But that was, I mean, look, Thanksgiving Day was a surprise after surprise after surprise.
Yeah,
I didn't see this stuff, and kind of carried into Friday with the Packers played on Friday, right? The Packers Lions. Or was it the Bears
Lions
Eagles?
played on Thursday. The Lions always play Thursday. And the Packers
were that's right.
With some interesting fourth down decisions.
Yeah. That was gutsy. And it's gutsy because it worked. If it doesn't work, you say, what kind of an idiot would have done that? Run the ball, make them use their timeouts, and make them drive the field. But gutsy calls, going for it, completing. Good throw. A good high point throw by Jordan Love to Wicks for that conversion, right? But yeah, it was definitely the Packers kind of out Campbelling Campbell, right? Because
Yeah,
he's the
I
one
think
who's
they wanted
known.
to keep the ball out away from the line offense, and it worked out for them. And they won the game. I think they're the best team in the NFC North now. Even though I really like the Lions, have some problems, and I think that they're really missing Ben Johnson as offense coordinator,
Yeah.
who's doing great work with the Bears.
And in fairness, Amon-Ra St. Brown getting hurt on the second play of the game didn't help.
Yeah, that didn't help. No, that didn't help. He's their best receiver.
Yeah, and not just
he's not just their best receiver. He's a good receiver.
Yeah, exactly. And he's what makes that offense click. You know, Jameer Gibbs and Montgomery are really, really, really good running backs, but I think it's that short passing offense with Goff
That play
and
action
Amon-Ra.
passing offense.
Yeah, that's what gets them going. And losing him on the first drive was definitely gonna hurt them. And in the end, it ended up proving true. It hurt them. Otherwise, I think the Lions win that game. So yeah, the Cowboys beating the Chiefs. It ended up being closer than it looked, but they were kind of running away from it. You always knew with Mahomes in the fourth quarter, they were going to make noise, right? And they did.
Yep.
But in the end, the Cowboys win 31-28. And here they are sitting 6-5-1, and more importantly, leaving the Chiefs at 6-6 with some serious questions coming. Of course, you know, what we've seen from the Chiefs, the questions probably get answered between Mahomes and Andy Reid, but they've got a tough one coming up next week with Houston. Who?
Yeah,
all right.
The Colts need to beat Houston today because Houston's beginning to play better.
They are, and now the most painful part of today's show, that game between the Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills. So I'm gonna stop. I want you to, and I will try very hard not to interrupt, because, well, as I said, I've backed away from my take. I was just for full disclosure, I was sitting there texting Shep here saying, yeah, the fix is in. The NFL has told the Bills they're supposed to lose this game because this doesn't make sense. The play calling doesn't make sense. The ref calls don't make sense. None of it. I've backed away largely from it. What did you see in that game? It was an absolute domination by the Texans.
For a one-score game, though, I mean, look, here the problem the Bills have is their offensive line is not good enough paired with wide receivers who can't go open super quickly.
Yeah, and then they lost two of their top two linemen during that game.
Yeah, and so I mean that Texans defensive line is really good. Look, here's the Bills' problems. Their wide receivers can't get open. Okay, they're just not consistent enough, and their defense is not good. Okay, and they just there's too many flaws in this team in the NFL to make noise, I think, in playoffs, regardless of the fact that Josh Allen wears a cape. Okay,
he's going to have to wear a cape 4 straight times,
and he's going to have to figure out how to play defensive line and linebacker,
which he could.
Yeah, which I mean that's the thing with that right now. I don't know. Like I want the Bills to do well, but I'm wondering if they missed a window and have to retool.
Yeah. So
the problem is now Allen is so good, they're not going to retool at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to get huge. They're going to have to really nail their draft picks because they're not going to be the high draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's how cruel the game can be, right? I think from a pure physical talent standpoint, it's not close how much better Josh Allen is than all his peers, including Mahomes. Now, situational play, absolutely, Mahomes has outshined, outplayed, in those critical conditions, critical moments, he has absolutely come through, made the right decision, won a lot of games, won a lot of big games. But from a physical, just ability standpoint, it's not close how much better Josh Allen is than anyone else um, uh, amongst his peers. But yes, it pains me to admit it, but they may have missed the window, unless Brandon Cooks is the answer, which I don't think that's the answer. But
No,
they did sign him.
he's a year past his sell-by date, I think.
Yeah. Um, I think I come back to what you said. Both the vehemence with which you said before the deadline and the exasperation after the deadline of the Bills not bringing in an AJ
A wide
Brown
receiver.
from Philadelphia. Yeah, maybe bring back. I don't know. There were a lot of options, and it just feels like they did
And they
not.
got none of them.
Yeah.
And they stood pat. And the GM in the past has stood pat in the wide receiver front, and it's burned them every time he's done that.
Yeah.
They just don't have a good enough wide receivers to support their all-world quarterback. And look, the Bills aren't my top two teams, but they are my third. Okay, after the Vikings and Cowboys and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating. I want to see them do well, and they're making decisions to prevent that.
All right, I am a silver lining guy, so here we are, Buffalo Bills on the road against the Texans. One of, if not the best defense in the league, getting sacked 8 times for a career high, and still losing 23-19. Right? That's not bad. The defense kind of showed up, but that's probably because of the anemic offense that the Texans have. The offensive line
the
issues
Texans just don't have a good offense.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's by the way, speaking of the Texans, nice to see Will Marks, former Bulldog, doing well.
Yeah.
But
Aquarius Marks.
Yeah.
Woody.
But I have to take away from that game. Once I cool down, the Bills are still 7-4, 2-2 in the East. Have they fallen too far behind? Absolutely. It's gonna take some serious doing. Are they mathematically out of it? No, but it's going to take some serious doing to try to win the AFC East, which means they are going in as a wild card, which means Josh Allen is going to have the cape on for 4 straight weeks.
That's rough, man.
It's asking too much of a quarterback who's already given you a lot.
I think it is, and I'm looking at the standings right now, and you've got the Broncos and the Patriots, who kind of, I think, have separated a little bit, even though they're only one ahead in the loss column over the Colts from the rest of the league, or the rest of the conference in the AFC.
Yeah,
and it's weird because you've got second-year quarterback Bo Nix, and then second-year quarterback Drake May, and there's no one who thinks Nix is better than me.
Yep.
Look, I think they're two really well-coached teams. I think they're the ones that one of those two is going to come out and play in the Super Bowl, I think, for the AFC, barring something, interesting by one of the other contenders. And I think they're going to play probably the Rams out of the NFC. But the Bears, look, Williams is making me rethink my he's a bust thing, but they're doing it so much on the ground, I'm still uncertain, and maybe this is bias on my part because I just don't want to be wrong. Caleb Williams has all the physical talent in the world, and Ben Johnson seems to be managing him about as well as you can, and he seems to be a really good offensive coach.
Yeah.
And he's gotten the Bears playing better than they have, at least since they made the Super Bowl way back in the aughts. and maybe even before that, because that Super Bowl team was based off of turnovers turned into touchdowns type of thing. You know, and so we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I still think the Rams though are the best team in the NFC.
They are right now. Absolutely no argument there. They're clicking on offense. They're clicking on defense. It just seems like every decision they make, every big moment where they have to make the play, they make the play, and it's gonna be very hard with a surefire future Hall of Fame quarterback playing at a high level and an opportunistic defense doing well. It's just going to be hard to bet against a team like that.
And a great coach.
And yes, and a great coach. So I think the NFC is a lot clearer. It's going to be the Rams and everybody else. On the AFC side, yes, the two aforementioned teams, the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots leading the way. But I think the Patriots have, and maybe this is my, my being a Buffalo Bills fan, showing up, rearing its ugly head. But I think they've had an easy schedule, the Patriots have. And, is that going to mean, so they've got, the thing is the easy schedule kind of continues, right? They've got the Giants coming up tomorrow. Then they have the bye. Then they play the Bills. After that, Baltimore, who was starting to make a comeback until the other day, but then they finished the season at the Jets and versus Miami. So 2 sure wins. If they really 3 sure wins, the Giants, right? They're going to be sitting at 13. If they beat the Bills at home, they'll probably lock up the first overall seed. So easy schedule or not, doesn't matter, right? A bye's a bye.
The number 1 seed is still the number 1 seed in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep. Especially Foxborough in the winter, in December and January.
And look, does anyone think they've got a bad coach quarterback combo? Right?
No.
And that's the thing. I mean, look, it'll be May's first time in the playoffs, which is scary for most people. The NFL playoff football is just different.
Yeah.
The level of aggression and violence in that game is not present in the regular season, and players are really putting it on the line, and it's the best of the best, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. And look, and that's why they play the games, man. I'm super curious to see what happens. I don't think you have a truly dominant team this year. Last year, even though the record didn't say it for a long time, I was like, man, the Eagles are just better than everybody else.
Yeah.
It
proved out.
But this year, there is a team like that. It's the Rams, but I'm less sold on them just being that dominant. But I think the Rams are. If you told me to make a choice today, I would say the Rams are going.
You know what the difference is. So last year we were in agreement that the Eagles just had a better roster than anyone else. They weren't necessarily playing the best, but they had the better roster than anyone else. The Rams, they may not have the best roster, but they are playing better than anyone else right now. Right? Yep. And that's not to say they have a bad roster. Right, you've got Stafford, you've got Puka Nacua, Kyren Williams, and Quorum can put together enough on the ground. Yeah. You've got Verse and the others on the defensive side, causing mayhem. So I'm not saying they've got a bad roster, but the dominance that we're seeing from the Rams is due to the out of their minds play as opposed to out of their mind talent advantage that the Philadelphia Eagles had last year. Now, is that going to continue? We've seen in the NFL that type of momentum in the middle of the season can't necessarily always be sustained. So we'll see. But yes, right now
to have those runs last 10 plus weeks. 12 weeks, 13 weeks. It's tough to maintain that without any blips or injuries or whatever it is. I mean, the things even out.
Yeah, you generally see teams getting hot in week 16, 17 that can then carry over, 15, 16 that can then carry over into the playoffs, into a run.
The classic example for that to me is always that Eli Manning,
both
Giants team to beat the undefeated Patriots.
Yeah, really both of those Eli Manning Giants teams. But yeah.
Built mainly on the defensive line.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see, man. The game's kicking off now.
The games are kicking off right now, and we're in it. So we'll see. We'll see how this week goes. I hope that the Buffalo Bills win a game. I hope that the Buffalo Bills win, get into the playoffs. I hope.
See, the thing is, you never surprise the Bills win a game because of that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what it just comes down to that, right? What do we talk about going into that Kansas City Chiefs game, right? We were like, hey, the Chiefs are looking really good. They've got the history behind them. The overall team, they've got the better talent around Mahomes, but who will have the best player on the field? That's going to be
basketball. Which, by the way, I really felt for you on Friday. Not only did we lose the egg bowl, not only did we lose our basketball game, but the Lakers and the Mavs played, and we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. Well, but I have a feeling we're going to have to talk about it in the upcoming weeks and months, and we will. But for now, I bid you wish you a good day, my friend. Always a pleasure discussing sports with you, and we'll be back next Sunday.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, thanks. That was Shep. Always a pleasure. And you've been listening to the Sports Spotlight right here on Radio Azad. I'm signing out. Enjoy your football. Enjoy your family time. Enjoy the whole week. And we'll see you guys next Sunday at 10 a.m. And before then, Wednesday night, right here on Radio Azad with Chandni Rate. Have a good one.
You are listening to Radio Azad, where your voice matters. Entertain, inform,